All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to IDK Beer 101. Today we're going to be going over darker beers. Darker beers are great beers. They're my next favorite after my hoppier beers that we just covered. This will be much easier than the hoppy beers that we covered because there's not as much to them. We've got a few archetypes that we cover, and it's pretty easy to get the flavors that we want. There's very few ways to get the sweet, coffee, chocolate, nutty flavors we're looking for. We can either roast or smoke the malt before we add it to the mash. Um, before we get it through the mill so that we can add it to the mash. Um, we can artificially add chocolate, coffee, or nut flavors at some point in time during the brewing, be it from extracts or actual, um, uh, ingredients. The last option that we have is pretty much to make such a huge malt base that we end up with a very sugary alcoholic beer. All of these are viable options, and some of them times will do a little bit of both. That's how you end up with your Russian Imperial Stouts that have ridiculously high alcohol, but they also have so much chocolate flavor in them. They've done a couple of things in order to do that. So, let's look at our little archetypes we've got. We're going to have sort of our lighter beers, like our ambers and stuff, and then we're going to move up to our nut flavors, coffee flavors, chocolate flavors, spiced flavors, and that's pretty much how it's going to work. So over here on ambers, this is where we're going to have the lightest body, the lightest alcohol, and the least upfront of our more abrasive flavors. Obviously, we're not going to have a lot of alcohol, so you're not going to have that super sweet alcoholic finish. There's not a lot of nut, chocolate, or coffee added, so we don't have something overpowering the real base malt, at any point in time. My biggest suggestions on these are going to be Austin and Alaskan Amber. They're great beers. They should pretty much not be disheartened if they ask for an amber and get one of those. They're really good. They're really safe. So ambers, not a lot going on there, but still a little more than what we had going on the first page because what we've done is we've roasted the malt or smoked the malt base just a little bit. If we're going to step up from there before we make it into the other flavors, I might even suggest like a Grotzer or an Ugly Pug. These are going, or even 1554, these are going to work as little transition periods from amber into maybe our spicy or our coffee or our chocolate flavors. The Grotzer has some spice flavors to it, but it's very low in alcohol and it has a lighter body than some of the other options that I would push forward in the spiced flavors. 1554 and Ugly Pug both have coffee and chocolate flavors, but they're lighter in alcohol and lighter in body than what I would typically push towards more full flavored alternatives that we're going to cover later. So keep those three beers, Grotzer, Ugly Pug, 1554, in mind as good transition ones from our ambers into some of these darker ones. So now we're going to cover our chocolatier beers. Chocolatey beers are real easy. Any Russian Imperial Stout is going to have chocolate flavors. Any milk stout is going to have chocolate flavors. So, Young's Double Chocolate, Old Rasputin, Milk Stout from Left Hand. Boom, there's three right there. I didn't even have to try, I didn't even have to think, it just happened. Any milk stout, any Russian stout will have chocolate flavors in it. Um, there are a couple of porters. Porters very, very much. I know that was a Varyvery kind of thing. They vary very much. Um, so it's kind of rough to immediately recommend one. You need to play around with your porters and figure out, ooh, this is a really dry porter that isn't overly sweet. Or maybe even if it is a dry porter, but it carries over one little bit of a dry, dark chocolate note. You can consider that porter to be more chocolatey than something else. But your porters can be sweet, or they could be super dry. Um, Convict Hill, in my opinion, is a very dry stout. It doesn't have a whole lot of sweetness going on in it. It's got a real nice caramel malt rolling through it, and it's done. However, Independence Convict Hill is a stout. That's a really dry stout, dry porter. In my opinion, where Deschutes does it, the Black Butte, sorry. Black Butte has a very dry aspect to it. There isn't a whole lot of sweetness to it, and it's pretty empty. As opposed to Odell's Cutthroat Porter would be a porter that I would suggest for somebody looking for more of the chocolate flavors. So certain porters, almost every milk stout, almost every Russian stout. Boom, you're good to go. Then we're going to move over to coffee flavors. Coffee flavors will typically be advertised in the beer. People like coffee stouts. I don't like coffee at all. I will not drink Starbucks. Y'all never seen me with a Starbucks cup in my hand up at work. It's not my thing. I love coffee beer. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. So look for coffee advertised in the beer title, and you're good to go. Santa Fe Imperial Java Stout, Oak Cliff Coffee Ale. Very good beers. The Oak Cliff Coffee Ale is probably my favorite beer from Deep Ellum, and they have 2 IPAs. Your coffee, the other thing to go with is to remember that a lot of times your vanilla can help accentuate a certain coffee flavor. So the other one I would send you on for your porter aspect of this would be the Nitro Porter, vanilla porter from Breckenridge. It has a very nice coffee flavor to it. Some people think it's chocolate milk, but it's more a vanilla coffee sort of cool drink. It's really nice. The last thing that we're going to cover are spicier beers. Spicy beers are weird. They're typically seasonal. Any of our winter beers, any of our pumpkin beers are going to be more spicy dark beers. I like St. Arnold's Christmas and Deschutes Jubile Ale a whole lot, but sadly those aren't year-round beers. For year-round beers and our spicier beers, I would suggest any of our Scotch ales. Dirty Bastard, Old Chub from Oscar Blues, both great selections. Look around and try and find a porter that might fit in here, or this one is really nice for finding in between beers. The Grotzer and the Cigar City from New Belgium both work really good. There's a lot of good flavors in this category. It's just very specialized. People are going to like it. So that's pretty much what I've got for y'all. We talked about how you're going to brew these, where you're going to get your flavors from, and what flavors you're looking for, and then how to recommend our 4 big archetypes. So without anything else to say on this section, I guess we'll go ahead and move on. We've got 2 more to cover that we'll do the back page in. So y'all be good, and we'll see you next time.